Welcome back everyone to our channel Wise Wings. I am Jishan.
I'm Maya.
Today we are going to talk about something different. We've been so excited talking about money and creating wealth. We're going to do the opposite of that.
What is that?
Today we're going to share our experience or our learnings from losing money or losing
The opposite
of
wealth.
creating wealth. So, which is which we both have experienced. So this is something, it's important part of the journey. So stay here with us as we go through some questions and our experience. So I'll start questioning you.
Okay.
Oh well, have you ever
Lost
lost
money.
money?
Okay, so there's two major incidents and time periods in my life over the past few years that I would consider it, like it felt like a loss of money and wealth. One time was, and you may have heard this before, was it felt like an unconscious loss of money.
Okay.
Even though it actually technically wasn't, but it feels like it. And that was when I spent a lot of money on multiple credit cards, and it was a massive overall credit card debt that became unreasonable. So, and if at the time, if I were to pay out all those bad debts, we'd have no cash. Or slightly negative maybe. So I spent the money, but I think the loss I'm talking about may be a loss of power, because we spent the money, we got the value, we got the goods, the services in exchange for that money we spent. So we had to repay the bank or the credit card debt we had, and it's not that I lost the money because I spent the money, but it was almost like the loss of power and the loss of capability to maintain the lifestyle and what we wanted to use the money on. So I think I share that because it took massive action to recover from it. That's why it felt like a loss. It felt like a big dent. It felt like we had gone downhill. We weren't maintaining a kind of a stable maintenance or growth. It was like downhill. So that's why it feels like a loss. It feels like a deficit, because it was like literally debt-wise.
It would be.
So I felt powerless. I felt like I was unconscious at the time. Like, how did we get here? It's like, oh, it's all a blur. And then there was a pivotal moment where we're like, okay, can't keep going like this. Then our behavior had to change.
So can I just go back? At what point that awareness of being unconscious hit you? Like, is there a moment of time, or is just like from a conversation with somebody, or what got to it? Like any sort of, can't buy anything anymore?
I think you might talk about it, but you don't let it sink in sometimes, because we would have had conversations about, I'm not making that much income as I used to, but we're still living the same way. So you think the expenses stay the same, but the income doesn't keep up with it or is not more. So therefore, I had the feeling like this isn't making sense, but I didn't want to look at it at the time because I didn't want to feel bad or feel guilty about it. And then I feel like that energy just built up. And then one day I'm like, it must have been like, okay, let's see where we're at overall with our financial situation. And you take stock and then you go, crap. So we took actions to recover. And it was a team effort between me and my husband, and we had to rejig how we live our life and what actions we took to bring in more money. How could we optimize our current lifestyle? What could we save some money here? Can we bring in some money here? And once we were on that wavelength, things started to move and shift in a positive direction. So that's one incident, which might not be what you were thinking. But another one that's really obvious is an investment loss that happened recently. And so we knew it was high risk, this opportunity, high risk, high reward scenario. And we put the money in, and it's a weird one because I felt calm about the whole thing. And I was a bit more game than my husband was. He's a little bit more conservative, but we were also aware that we were playing a bigger game. So we have bigger goals, and that requires more, like, bigger actions and more courageous actions, and doing new things, taking new risks. And so we put the money in. We put in tens of thousands of dollars. And after a few weeks, it all disappeared.
Sorry, I know the phone call. No, I missed the call.
It wasn't a phone call for me. It was just online. We could see online, like, oh.
No, I remember when you called me.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I shared it with her when it happened, and so we're like, I think they were on the journey when we, had made the conscious decision fully. The responsibility was 100% ours, not blaming anybody, even though it was like, it you might look at it and go, people took our money. But we're not taking that perspective. We're like, okay, it was super risky, and it's most likely a scam. No one really knows for sure. But we put tens of thousands in, we made tens of thousands, but then it's all disappeared now. It's all in the ether of the universe. And I feel calm at the beginning, and I still feel calm at that moment when we realize, oh crap, it's gone. And it was still very recent at the time of recording this video, and maybe there's residual emotions that I'm yet to process, but logically in my head, I know, I'm aware of what's happened and what it is now. We're yet to make plans for recovery, but we're in a place where it's not a detriment to our current financial situation that the money's gone, because I think for the most part it was just digits on a screen, because you know how we handle cash so much less these days.
So it's not tangible.
It's not tangible. You don't feel the realness of it. So even when you borrow money, when you spend money, it's just numbers swirling around. You swipe a card here, you click a button, and it doesn't feel significant. And I think that's where people can feel like it was nothing as well. But then obviously some people do feel the heaviness of it. But I guess in general, it's feeling rather light for me with this situation. But yeah, I became aware of actually how much I do have, and it's beyond basic needs of our current situation. So it doesn't feel as devastating, even though it sounds devastating. And in the grander scheme of things, I like to think of making money and building wealth as a game. And we're playing a bigger game. We have greater goals. So that as a percentage is actually small
to the game you're about,
in the bigger
game scale.
And so it's about perspective, I think, when dealing with a loss or a said failure. But the healthy way is to look at it and learn from it as much as you can, and consider it as like a donation to the universe for a lesson and looking back, we started to look at, okay, what were the potential red flags? What could we have done better? Could we have changed our strategy? Could we have had different conversations? Should we have avoided it altogether? So you learn from it. And the thing is, it feels hard sometimes, but you can always get money back, and what you can't get back is your time. So I think I had this expression, I can't remember from who, but it's like from multiple business kind of mentoring coach type people, is on the journey to making wealth, you're gonna face setbacks and obstacles, so you want to fail fast so that you get to your end outcome sooner, because there's learning on the way no matter what. It's and everyone has their own journey, and it's kind of self limitations as well as external obstacles to get through. Just like if you're hiking up a mountain, for instance. Yeah. So that's so it's interesting, and I'm amazed at how I'm handling this situation at the moment. Because if I went back a few years and if my future self told my past self this is going to happen, I'd be like, what? No.
I do have to acknowledge
sorry, I just to end that thought is I wouldn't have believed that I would have been able to deal with this current situation the way I'm dealing with it. So there's an emotional training and resilience that's been built up over time, which I didn't realize was there.
So how do you feel about that? Are you you surprised that this is how you? So you're more surprised to the way you reacted.
I am very surprised, and I don't fully understand it, but it's there and it's kind of cool.
I do have to say that I was concerned making this video today because I didn't know how you would react, because it's so recent, talking about loss of money. But I think I was good to see the way you, I saw you, how you're reacting, and the way you really switched it around, in a couple of hours, right?
I think, I don't know if you have this experience, but sometimes when you get bad news, it's done and there's no point dwelling on it, and it's just what's next. That's how it felt for me, and that's happened. It's just random, but sometimes you get the bad news and okay, I can't do anything about it. No point crying over it. It's just sometimes I accept really quickly and I move on. And sometimes when I notice those times, it's amazing. So I'd like to switch over to you now. So
wow,
what's the time, or maybe a couple of times, where you've experienced loss of maybe an investment or the like, and how did you feel at the time? What was going through your mind, and then how did you come out the other side?
My story is pretty similar to yours. I had the credit card issue. I think it's a girl thing. When in your mid-20s, early 30s, bank just throwing credit cards. You can have 7,000 limit, 5,000 limit. There, and every single time I got a letter, I just kept accepting those cards and cha-ching, save it.
I'm starting to feel like it's a rite of passage to make more money in the future, because you learn to become wise.
I think so. Money. So I think it was a blessing for me, because that taught me so well. I'm glad I done it, but I completely changed my credit card. I have 2 credit cards now, only for points purposes and whatnot. But I don't spend it. It will never get to a stage. So I am so glad that happened, because where I'm now today. Otherwise I keep continuing. And it didn't happen because I carried on the spending habits even for a long period of time. Then I had to look at my behavior, that why am I spending like that? Why doesn't, and then looking at it in a very detailed space, constantly, completely a change of habit to how I spend credit cards, right? And it was a long journey. It was that coach, that life coaching, the life, brought it itself for me.
Life was coaching me.
Life was coaching me for an expense.
Yeah.
And the second one is big. Second one was in hundreds. And so how did I feel when I it didn't feel anything, because it was another thing. It was, I didn't see that money in my hand. I couldn't feel it. I'm kinesthetic, so I need to touch and feel things.
So can you share briefly what it was? What happened?
Oh, it was a guaranteed return, which is nothing is guaranteed. Return on a property investment, and I did my due diligence for a couple of years in this company, and they declared bankruptcy during COVID. So that is, but the whole thing, we found out it was the owner of it was a dodgy. It wasn't about, it's nothing to do with COVID, but it is because I haven't seen the money. So when I still don't know if we're going to get some returns, initial investment back. However, I didn't feel like I lost anything. It is interesting. It goes back to you that I move on very quickly, because I also had a relationship break at that time that gave me more. I can compare between which loss hurts more, and it's not the money. It's the relationship in that space. So that was a big realization also about money, that I felt I could go make it. There are much strategies, and I feel that because I have people I can talk to, ideas, strategies, brainstorm, I know that I have that confidence in me just to make it happen, where I probably did not have that 10 years ago. So this loss 10 years ago would have been a much bigger loss. Plus I also made me realize that I am security for me. Like a lot of people know, I'm saving for security and saving, my future, or I don't have that either, because this money would be for my future anyway. So what it means, what I realize about that is that I was more into the present. I didn't think about what happened in the previously. That didn't drive me of losing the money. I also did not care about having a lot of security in the future for myself or for my family. Does that make sense? Like a lot of like it's what I'm saying is, for me it's lifestyle. It's not about retiring with lots of money. I just always feel that I will have enough.
Okay, so I'm trying to connect this, what you're saying, to your story with the property investment loss. So when you invested it and you found out you supposedly lost it all, it was okay.
Okay.
Like you feel like, okay, that just means I have to do other things.
Yes. So
you're gonna have to take other actions now. Like the plan has changed.
Yes. Yeah, that's how it felt. The plan has changed. There is, what's lost is lost. Move on. And it's done deal. Like there is nothing I can do about it. If this person took our lot of money and was a bad person, that's on him, not on me or anybody else.
So then, okay, what does this loss mean for what you will do in the future?
Right, the learnings.
Damn learnings.
I would do different paperwork. I would probably have lawyers involved, and there would be more pre-work done before putting your money into an investment. There's we understand market crash, that's out of our power, but the things can be controlled and can be managed, so just need better education around that. And it gave me a different depth of learning. So I understood where I was ignorant. So there's saying that your ignorance, you'll pay for your ignorance, right? So yes, you can look at everything, but this has taught me to go to a different level of understanding that I was ignoring, or not ignoring. I haven't I didn't have the knowledge. So you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And good, it's got me to the next level now. So I have that learning, and it doesn't stop me from the journey. It will
That's
just
important.
keep
To not let failure stop you.
and we just keep on going, and it's I'm so glad it happened to me.
And it sounds so counterintuitive and weird, especially if you haven't been through it before. If the opportunity came around again, I'd do a bit more prep work, but sometimes I'm a bit of a gambler, so there's going to be in the future more high risk opportunities that I will still dip my toe in. So it's a weird one.
Fun.
Yes, it can be fun, especially when you do actually get the returns. But yeah, there's a sense of play almost, and it's a game. Like, I think overall what you do, it's a game that you're playing with the intention of like getting to your goal. And when you treat it as a game, you feel less significant, and you're more playful and more curious and creative. And I think that helps as well.
Yeah. And another thing I understood from this process is money is just, I believe money is energy, right? So you're moving one energy. So suppose one bank account to someone else's bank account for an investment, then it goes to someone else's bank account. So you're moving this shifting energy. And I am more seeing that in crypto spaces. Even I know, like, cryptos is just you send money to a wallet, and that's the future of digital money transfer, right? The more I'm realizing is our tangible money feeling is quickly changing. So when you're losing something, you're never losing something in front of you. You're losing something behind a screen, just moving.
And it's not real.
It's not real, so it hurts less.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I get you. Yeah.
Yes.
If going back a few years, the loss that we've experienced recently would have felt bigger.
Yeah.
But now it feels different and slightly like not as serious as we thought it might have felt. And then going forward, as we continue to build our wealth, we'll look back and this loss will feel smaller again.
And I think you're just trying to say, like, the capacity is becoming, we are having more capacity of earning and also losses.
Yes.
Would that be right?
Yeah, I think so. And the focus, our focus has expanded. So we get to see more parts of life, the different moving parts, where before maybe our view was slightly narrow. Anyways, so I wanted to say that, after sharing these stories, that not often do people share their losses and the struggle. It's easy to see on nice big house, nice car, holidays and stuff like that. And that took work, and the really successful people you see, they've failed a lot, but they might not have talked about it. So we're taking this as a learning in our personal journey. And I guess it sounds like bad news, but there's imminent failures that are going to happen if you're on a similar journey or you want to build your wealth. But the key is to learn from it. But it's somewhat unavoidable. But keep your eye on the prize. That's what's most important.
Yes, if I to add on to that, like, we have to remember our end goal. So when we are reaching for something, this will happen. There will be, setbacks on the path, but it might not be ever. You could always win. I think the setbacks are required. Plus, it doesn't change you from money perspective, but it changes you as a person, who you are.
True.
That is also important. That is a metaphysical level of change that we learn from life for free. So
I don't know about free. But also I think the challenges, we'll say challenges, obstacles, it may actually be the path.
Yes,
as well.
So it is as much as it feels difficult at the time, and it could be, you could be angry for a while, but eventually it will soften up, it will you will look at the past, and then all you have to stay focused is on the goal. That's where I want to go. So this cannot, so if you pulling yourself towards the goal, this cannot pull you back, your setback. So it's basically, so you need to cut, somehow that string will need to break in order for you to move forward. So yes, we'll keep your heads up, and don't let setbacks or money, mistakes or any losses get to you. Stay true to your dreams. Until then, this is Jishan and Maya. We will see you again.